Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to 21 Hunting and Fishing, and this is part 2 of our land navigation series. I put together a practical application exercise based on some things we learned in part 1. So let's get started. All right, so first things first, we need a map. This is an example of a MGRS system map. It doesn't really mean a whole lot without some other things. So what do we need? We need our declination diagram. We need our protractor. This is, I just basically made this by cutting and pasting what you really want from the protractor. Now we're going to use both of these things here in a second. So let's get started. Let's figure out a grid coordinate for this building or whatever it is right here. So what did we learn last time? You take your protractor, you match it up to the grid square that it is in. So this is the 8900, so double zeros right here. So the easting is 89 and the northing of the grid square is 00. So that is this box right here. And you can see the protractor graduated in, we'll call it meters, 1,000 meters. All right, so remember, we read right. So we moved our protractor over all the way until the right side of it touches that point of interest. In this case, this little square. So we don't forget about the easting. The easting is 89, and then it looks like it's right on the 6. So the easting grid coordinate is 8960, and we still need the northing grid coordinate. So then we read up, and it's point, so in this case it's 0.5. So what does that mean? That means that this square right here is located at an 8-digit grid. That is 89600005. Okay, so we have a grid coordinate. Now that grid coordinate is in and of itself is just a point on the map. And if you're going from point A to point B, you can call this point B. You need a point A. So what would a good point A be? A point A, or way to start, is what we call an attack point. It's an easily identifiable feature on the map. Now, if you're going from grid to grid to grid coordinate that you're plotting, you have to be careful, because if one of those grid coordinates is off, then your next one's going to be off. So it's really helpful to start from a known and obvious point. In this case, it's this T intersection right here. So let's pretend you park your truck right there, and this is where you're going. There's an attack point right here. Is there an attack point along this road? Not really, because it's just a road, straight road. It's kind of hard to tell a really good attack point unless this feature right here is obvious. But let's just pretend that this is our attack point for sake of practicing. So we want to get to this square right here. Here's our grid coordinate, and at this point, really, the grid coordinate also doesn't mean a whole lot, and you'll see why in a second. It was just a good exercise on how to find a grid coordinate. Unless someone tells you that, gives you this grid coordinate, and you find it here, it happens to be this, and then you want to find an attack point to get to that grid coordinate. So use a piece of string or whatever. This red line is representing a piece of string, and then you use your whole protractor right here, and you put the piece of string on the protractor. Now use your imagination. Let's pretend that these crosshairs right here are over the spot that we are our tack point. This particular screenshot's not transparent, so use your imagination. It's the same principle. So we have this piece of string, we put it nice and tight, and you can see, hopefully, it's pretty small. That is 125 degrees. Again, we still have to do something else in order to get from that intersection to that small square, let's call it just a shack or whatever. That's our point of interest that we want to get to. Well, we still haven't used this yet. And so far we haven't even touched our compass yet. So we're working off of grid azimuth. So this is a grid azimuth, 125 degrees. So what does it say? To convert a grid azimuth to a magnetic azimuth, add the GM angle. What's the GM angle? The GM angle is 5 degrees. I'm not smart, but 125 plus 5 equals 130 degrees. So on your compass, you want to shoot a magnetic azimuth of 130 degrees. Now, if you don't have a compass, but you have the iPhone app, I looked this up, defaults to magnetic azimuths. You can change it to true north compared to, where it will point to true north and not the magnetic north. But as long as you're consistent, I think. Well, let's take a step back. That's just good to know. So if you're using your app like a lensatic compass, know that it is acting like a lensatic compass and that's pointing to the magnetic north. So from your tack point, you shoot an azimuth of 130 degrees, and then you need to know the pace count, how far the shack is. Because if you're walking, and you've gone past your pace count, it's a chance that you didn't shoot the right azimuth, or you got off track, or you're past it. And so that's important to know. You want to know when you are coming up to that shack in this case, and not just keep walking, because you could, if you're not shooting the azimuth correctly, you could walk right by it. It's also important to note that the compasses, some of them may be off, and it's helpful to use your compass and to shoot at a known azimuth. Let's say that from point A to point B, you're standing at point A, and point B is at a known azimuth, magnetic azimuth of 270 degrees, and you use your compass and you consistently get, say, 273, then your compass is off. It's very possible that that can happen. But if you're using your phone, again, you're shooting for magnetic north. So what would happen if you forgot to convert the azimuth? Well, you would be walking at 125 degrees and not 130, so you would generally end up on the north side of it, not on it, because you're not walking south enough. I hope that helps. Quick little just example how you can use some of these skills. And one other thing I wanted to talk about is escape azimuth. Now let's go back. Oop, I can't go back. What's going on? No, I can't go back because it's recording, but I'll talk about that in the next part. So that is all, and I hope you're enjoying these how-to videos.